Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to episode 22 of the Deu Awuok Show, where it is my job to interview professional and collegiate soccer players about their life journeys around the beautiful game. On this episode, I speak with Bryce Tramuta, a professional soccer player for FC Buffalo. Amongst other things, we talk about his experience winning the State Cup, his D1 college recruiting process and experience, as well as successfully balancing professional soccer, working a corporate job, and running a company. I thoroughly enjoyed this great conversation with a good friend, and I hope you do too. Bryce, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me, Joe. I'm excited for this conversation.
And likewise, it's always nice, getting catch up with some old friends and teammates. Let's start with some introductions. Tell us your full name, where you're from, and an interesting fact about you.
I'm Bryce Tramuta, 28 years old, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, now up in Buffalo, New York, playing for FC Buffalo. Fun fact about me is outside of soccer, I actually own my own goalkeeper glove company.
That's amazing, man. We'll get into that shortly after this. But I guess going back to your early days, when did you start playing soccer? Who got you involved? And then why did you decide to become a goalkeeper?
So I actually started when I was about 5 years old, just in the local rec league in Pittsburgh. I started playing the field there for a few years as a striker. And then I remember, I think I was 7 or 8 years old. I got gifted a pair of goalkeeper gloves from my grandparents. My uncle actually played goalie growing up, made it pretty far into college. So they just gifted me a pair of goalkeeper gloves, I think just kind of for the heck of it, just to have. And then I remember one game actually, we needed a goalkeeper just in our rec league, and I had a pair of gloves, and I said I would go in. And I remember making this diving save that game, holding on to the ball with the gloves, and it's like, oh, this is kind of fun. So from there, I just kind of kept volunteering to go in goal, split my time between the field and goal until kind of around the middle school age. I made the full decision to switch to goalkeeper and kind of never looked back from there.
That's incredible. It's funny because my younger brother, who just actually visited me this weekend for the 4th of July weekend, he does the same thing right now. He loves being a goalkeeper and he also loves being a striker. So half
Oh,
of
that's
the game,
awesome.
he'll be a keeper. The other half, he'll be playing winger.
That's so awesome, especially as a young kid too. You get to play in the field too. You develop your foot skills because now more than ever, you need to be good with your feet and goal. So that's awesome to hear he's doing that. Hopefully, he picks goalkeeper as he gets older.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of like given the option that you can do whatever you wanted. I think he's leaning towards goalkeeper. And I think I might be biased that I'm a striker and I was a winger. I kind of maybe want to go that route, but at the end of the day, it's his
Hmm.
gets to see what he wants to do. And he did well recently. They had a tournament. He had 3 PK saves and they won the
Oh,
championship.
I
So I
love
think
that.
those kind of things kind of reinforce, the idea that
Yeah.
being a keeper is where he should be.
Hmm.
I actually tried goalkeeping myself when I was younger. I think it was like during one of the practice, we needed a goalkeeper, and I went in there, and it was that position is harder than it looks. Like it was scary, like getting up on corners trying to get the ball, and trying to get through people. Like it's scary
Oh yeah.
because if you mess up, it's a goal. Like psychologically, it's probably like the hardest position. Would you agree with that take?
Absolutely, because one mistake and you can lose a team for your game. But I also feel like having to be mentally tough all the time kind of transcribes into life. Being mentally strong. If something goes wrong in the game, you make a mistake. You can't get that down on yourself, especially if your team's still in the game. You can just like keep letting more goals in, make more errors, and the same kind of applies for life. If something happens, you got to get right back up and keep at it, or you'll keep getting dragged down. And you gotta learn from your mistakes, just like anything in life. Only way to get better.
For sure, 100% agree there. Because yeah, I think it's a position where I think as a striker you can miss like five
Oh
chances,
yeah.
and then you score one, and everybody remembers that, and you're happy. Yeah, as a keeper, you might make one mistake, and people will not forget
Hmm.
it. So it's a
Yeah,
very
you can make 10 amazing saves in one game. One error, one ball goes through your legs, and you're the villain.
exactly. So a lot of kudos to you guys. I don't think I could do it. Like I think I tried. It was really tough. You guys are just built different.
Oh yeah, different mindset.
I think as I look back to my youth days, I think the State Cup was like the premier competition for us. It was something every year we look forward to, and the opportunity to win that was something that we tried to do every year. And unfortunately for us, we always came up short. Right, we had a good team, but as you know, soccer is a very complex sport, and sometimes things just don't work out your way when maybe you were the better team. But unlike myself, you had the opportunity to win the state cup for your club team. Talk to us about what the experience was like and what it was like to win the state cup.
Yeah, it's one of those goals as a player trying to play at that next level, especially more when we were younger. The state cup was that top tournament for our age. So just finally winning that, and especially being in so many state cup finals, once you finally won, it's just such a relief that you did it. And then getting to go on to play in regionals, it's something you always dream of as a kid. But the competition, especially back in Pittsburgh, there were several teams always vying for state cup championships, and came up close way too many times. Had some really close semifinals that we lost. So actually getting one, meant a lot. And I still have that medal hanging up in my bedroom back home, just from remembering how hard it was to actually get that first one.
No, that's incredible, man. How far did you guys go into making it to the national tournament?
We bowed out pretty quick at regionals, so didn't make it too far. But winning the state cup was more than enough at that point. Um, we fought well against some of the better teams around the country, but state cup one was hard enough to win. We had some good teams in our state.
No, I can imagine. It's always a tough competition to win, and beyond the talent, it's other things that have to go your way during those games because it's like you lose one game and it's pretty much done. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Turning to high school soccer for you, you were a 4-year varsity player, averaging 1.4 goals against, which is pretty impressive. Talk to us about your high school experience and what year did you finally cement yourself as like the number one goalkeeper?
Yeah, so my freshman year, I didn't come in as a starter, but I got a little bit of game time, not a lot, but enough to let her. Um, and then after that, it was the same goalkeeping core that came back for my sophomore year. And I remember just working really hard in the off season. I knew what I needed to work on. I was a really small goalkeeper my freshman year, so I knew I needed to work on my jumping, getting up in the air. I was getting beat at some of those higher balls. The keeper that was ahead of me for most of my freshman year was a lot taller, and he was getting to those balls. Or maybe I was getting to some of the other more reaction saves. He was getting those. So I knew what my focus had to be that whole next year. I did get a growth spurt, which did help after my freshman year, but I really had to put focus on my fitness and my strength to actually beat him out the next year, which I did. And then, 3 years started from there, played almost every minute outside of maybe a few injuries or some rest here and there. Um, but it was a good experience in high school. We didn't have the best team, but, I think that also helped me get to that next level in college because I was just getting pummeled with shots almost every game. We didn't have the strongest team. So made the highlight video look good. It helped me work on some of the things I needed to work on and also just helped with game confidence overall, making those and saves that, my club team was really good. There's some games I might only touch the ball once or twice. So it was a completely different mindset being a guy that's going to make 10, 15 saves a game in high school versus
Mhm.
maybe touching the ball once or twice for your club team. So I think it really helped me develop and get to that next level.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of the college level, you committed to play D1 soccer at Canisius University, where we played together for a couple of years. Talk to us about your college recruiting process and why you decided to commit to Canisius University.
Yeah, so I actually started my look end of my sophomore year. I started looking around kind of where I wanted to go. And my grandparents are actually from the Buffalo area. So I always kind of heard of Canisius through that. And I saw they had an ID camp. I think it was in May or June, right after I finished my sophomore year of high school. So I decided to go up and see what it's about, do the camp. And at this time, it was the first ID camp I ever went to. I sent some emails and stuff out to some coaches around the country and especially around Pennsylvania to some of the D2 and D3 schools. But I went up to the ID camp um, and I just loved it. Everything Dermot had to say about the program, I really liked. I liked the feel of the campus, very small and tight knit community. I knew I wanted to always go for business. I didn't know kind of what I was going to focus on yet, but Canisius had a really good business program. And then my family being up there too, It's just kind of nail in the coffin that, oh, this is kind of perfect. Have family up here, not too far from home in Pittsburgh. So after that first camp, I did pretty well at the camp. Dermot said, stay in touch. I want to see you play, hopefully in the fall or at a winter showcase. He wasn't able to make it out to any of my games for that, but he had another camp that following winter that he invited me to see another look. So I went and did that. And then he ended up coming to see me that next spring one time. And then after that, I officially got an offer right before the end of my junior year from them. And I knew from that point on, I didn't want to look elsewhere. I was emailing back and forth with a bunch of coaches throughout the year. But if Canisius offered me, that's where I wanted to go. So once I finally got that offer from them, I knew right away I had to commit.
That's amazing, man. I mean, to lock that up with a year ago, it's so awesome because it just saves you a lot
Yeah,
of,
it was a relief.
and you can just enjoy your last season of high school and club soccer, knowing where you're gonna be, after high school. So after your high school, right, your first year at Canisius, you decided to redshirt, right? Talk to us about your thought process as you and the coach made that decision, and for the benefit of the viewers who are not familiar with the term, let me give a little overview of what it means to redshirt.
Yeah, so I came into my freshman year. Right before camp, there was actually 5 goalkeepers on the roster. One ended up leaving like a day before preseason started, so we went in with 4. And to be honest, it was a big shock and adjustment going into preseason with them. They were way better than I was. I wasn't used to that speed of play. I struggled a lot too my first fall semester, just trying to catch up with the speed of play. Um, and it was clear too, I was never even coming close to kind of seeing the field. So I approached Dermot early on in that fall season and just wanted to verify, like, do I need to do anything to redshirt? I clearly know where I stand here. I know I need to work on a lot and improve on a lot. But this is really a growing year for me. I want to make sure I have that extra year of eligibility down the road. And for anyone that doesn't know what redshirting is, it pretty much means you sit out from game competition for a season so that you can play an extra season down the road. So I was able to get a 5th year out of it. And, he said, absolutely. Obviously, if something came up, I was a 4-string goalkeeper that I had to play, injury wise or whatever reason, I'd have to go in then. But the plan from the very beginning was redshirt, develop, work on your game, and most importantly, get used to the speed of play. Because that's just where I was struggling with most. You have almost no time to make a decision with the ball at your feet at that level. The balls are coming in much faster. Decision making on off your line has to be exact and right away, or you're going to get punished. So, I focused a lot of that semester adapting to that. Put in a lot of extra work with Andrew Coughlin, who was our starter, and John Hollinger, who was our backup keeper at the time, just after practice. And, sometimes later in the evenings working on that stuff and making sure I hit the gym as much as I could just to get myself up to speed. And it made a wonders of improvement for the spring season. Actually getting game time there, I looked like I was actually part of the team then. Wasn't struggling as much with the speed. Still had a lot to work on, obviously, but, having that time just to focus and be like, this time is for you to improve, get used to the game, really did a lot for me. And having Dermot's backing really helped.
Yeah, absolutely. And I went through a similar process myself, right? I think when you make that jump,
Mm-hmm.
the club in high school to the D1 level, like the pace of the game, the physicality of the game, all right, the decision making, everything is sped up, and then
Oh, yeah.
you're struggling to adjust, and then you start to like doubt yourself, and confidence becomes an issue. If you struggle with confidence going through that adjustment, how did you manage that, and how, like, what helped you, remain positive and optimistic? Because it can be very easy to get down on yourself, and becomes a cycle where, because you're lacking confidence, you play worse, right? Because you're thinking about the mistakes you've made, and it makes it likely the next play is going to be a mistake, right? How do you get out of that cycle, and what do you think helped you manage and navigate the struggle?
So I think the biggest thing that I always had with me is I'm very confident and I'm able to get things quickly out of my head if things goes wrong. I definitely think that's always been a strength of mine. So, at the beginning, it was tough making a lot of mistakes in practice. And then I just told myself one day, like, can't get much worse than what's going on right now. You're the fourth string. You can't go any further down. So you might as well just focus on doing your best. If something goes wrong, get ready for the next shot, get ready for the next ball that comes at you. And I think that really helped. And I honestly think that mindset really propelled me to, you know, eventually make it to a semi pro and then pro level and still playing at 28 is because I've always kind of been, for the most of my career, I've been a backup. So you need to be ready for that one chance you get, and you can't be nervous to take it. Um, I've had times where it's my first or second game after a long time and it didn't go as planned, but I got another chance soon after and I took it from there. Um, so if you relish on your mistakes or, making a mistake, you're not going to get anywhere. And if a mistake does happen, you just got to learn to deal with it and, see if it's something you can improve on or maybe exposes a weakness in your game that you necessarily didn't see that you can start to focus on. So that's how I always kind of took that mindset, especially as being a backup most of my life after high school.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And as I look back on my experience, I think it would have helped me a lot to know that like you just gotta forget it. Next play, you have to have a short memory with these things because dwelling on it is not gonna change what happened. It's gonna only affect the future, right? And it makes the situation worse. But yeah, absolutely agree with you there. How do you, knowing you're a second or third string keeper and in a position where you rarely sub, right? Unless it's an injury or something happens with the first or second goalkeeper, you're not gonna play, right? Unlike an outfield player where, if you're amongst, the number 12 to 16, 17. If you play well, you're probably going to get minutes and you could increase those minutes if you play well. But with keeper, it's like, it's almost set, right? Like there's a keeper and unless something goes wrong or you mess up really bad, you're not going to see much playing time. How do you stay motivated, each day of practice, go the extra mile to, put in the fitness, the gymming? How do you stay motivated knowing that you're so far behind in the depth chart?
I think just from my experiences too, that, when I actually got my chances, a lot of things did come from it. My sophomore year, I did win the second string that year and I didn't see a minute. Andrew Coughlin never came out hurt or injured or, we were never far enough winning that it warranted him coming out. But then junior year, Marco Trivelato came in, amazing goalkeeper, won the job. But he had some injuries, so I was able to actually get some chances to get in there and play. And once that actually happens, you just kind of need to be ready and focused. But outside of that too, you just need to be a good teammate to the starter. Because in the grand scheme of things, they're ahead of you because they're better than you, at least at that moment. So what can you learn from them to better yourself? What part of their games are they better than you at? Maybe you can teach them something as well. And I think that just gives you confidence too, that you actually feel very much a part of the team, even if you're not playing, you're not starting, being there to support that number one goalkeeper and trying to better yourself at it. Because eventually it did lead to getting the starting role my fifth year at Canisius. And I also think if I didn't have that mindset when I did have to go in a little bit my junior and senior year and in all those spring games, I wouldn't have eventually won that starting job the fifth year. So you had to be ready to take that chance. And having the support also of the starter when you did play goes a long way. Andrew Coughlin and Marco Trivelato helped me out a lot over the years. They were brutally honest about stuff I needed to work on. So we do extra reps and sessions and focus on that stuff. And, there's always these tensions too. Sometimes you see it in all sports, quarterbacks or goalkeepers or goaltenders. There's sometimes rifts between, the starter and the backups. But, I never had that at Canisius. I truly felt we all made each other better. And in the long run, I think it really helped us all out.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I saw some of that firsthand, right, as a teammate of yours and Marco and other keepers. And I think a lot of that's down to you as like the second or third choice keeper because a lot of time that is where the problem could start, right? It's like the guy ahead of you is not really gonna have any problem with the situation because he's the first goalkeeper.
Yeah.
It's you who maybe not self-aware or jealous or envy or whatever that can cause that ref. And I think it's a testament to the type of person you are to like realize the situation for what it is and like say to yourself, what can I gain from this? How can I learn from this guy who's better than me so that I can get to that point? And that's literally the only way you go about it because any other way it's not going to help. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help the team. And in your case, the perfect example, your fifth year, you won that starting position, started all the games, and had an incredible season because you trusted the process. You did what you were supposed to do. You learned from those ahead of you. Talk to us about that last season as the number one goalkeeper.
Yeah, you remember it firsthand. It was a bit rough, especially the expectations that we had going in, predicted to win the MAC. We had a really strong team do that year. You remember in preseason, people just started getting injured one by one by one. And as we got into the season and out of conference play, more just kept getting hurt and hurt and hurt. And it was rough seeing that because there was such high expectations. I really wanted to make the most out of my last year there, and I think we only won 4 games that year, so that was hard. But at the same time, it was just awesome to play. Was getting a lot of shots against every game, so it definitely helped me grow too to make that jump also to that next level. But yeah, it did not go as planned as all from a performance wise. But finally winning that job after waiting 5 years felt really good. It's something I knew I could eventually do. And along the whole process too, I remember my senior year. I was doing my yearly meeting with Dermot, and I straight up told him what I need to work on to be the starter next year because I knew he was also looking ahead for the future. He straight up told me, I don't know if it's going to be you yet that's going to be starting, or I'm going to have to bring someone else in. There's some money here set aside for you or someone else. You got to go out and prove it in the spring that it's yours. So throughout the spring, he told me some things I needed to work on, and I told him straight up, if it's not going well, you can scream at me at practice, pull me aside, tell me what I need to work on, and he did, and I give him a lot of credit for doing that because if he didn't push me or trust me into that, it wouldn't have worked out for that 5th year, regardless of how bad the season went standings wise. It was a big self accomplishment that I won that job because that's something I really wanted for 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely, and you deserve it, given all the work you put in, the self awareness, the discipline, the consistency, and to your point, I think that's one of the things I appreciate about Dermot. Right, he's very upfront. He would never sugarcoat
Mm-hmm.
anything. He would tell you how he felt, which I respect a lot. I might not agree with some of his methods, but I respect that he was direct, right? And I felt that he said what he felt, and didn't do politics and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think I had Alex here, right? And we talked about that season, right? To go
Yep.
from the season we had prior, returning the core team, right? We're supposed to be better that next season, right? And that's partly why we
Yep.
were voted to become first. And we talked about injuries, we talked about complacency, right? And the fact that we had such a successful season the prior season that maybe that got to our head and we didn't think that we needed to like work as hard during the off season because I think he talked about himself how much he worked that prior season right, in the gym, being prepped for the fitness test. In the second season, he didn't put in as much work, and he felt like that was maybe also a theme around the team, right? Because we just felt like, oh, we're good now, right? We got all these players coming back, right? We should automatically just perform like we did before. What else do you think maybe went wrong? Do you agree? First of all, do you agree with those takes? And then two, what else do you think went wrong that second season, or your last season at Canisius?
Yeah, no, I listened to what he said, and I definitely agree with it all. I think we honestly got too complacent with winning the previous 2 years because we had a really good 2 years before it, and the majority of that team was still there for that third season after a great 2 years. So I don't know if you remember that preseason. It felt so relaxed, and it felt like we knew we were going to come in and win everything and win all these games, and we had a tough out of conference schedule ahead, and we felt confident we were going to do it. And having that confidence is a good thing, but I also think it like made us rest a little bit. And obviously the injuries didn't help, but we still had a great team around that. And I think too, I remember even just the Akron game, we held them off for so long, 42 minutes, I think it was. We hit the crossbar once or twice. Their keeper made some good saves. I remember that first goal that went in, and the attitude of everyone just dropped. Like everyone on the field realized, yeah, we're not winning this now. It's only 1-0, and we were in the game before that. And I felt too a lot of the other games that season we had that mindset when we went down that first goal. Is all right, we're not getting back into this. Could have done more to, you know, push the team back, maybe. But that's kind of how it felt all year. Is we started doubting ourselves, and I did say it earlier too. We had all those injuries, but that can't be the only excuse as to why the season went bad. It's just the whole vibes around the team definitely took a drop, even though we're all close knit on and off the field. Performance wise, it just didn't click after those first few games. Unfortunately, I thought it was going to turn around after the Bonaventure game. That was a great response from us after losing 10-0
Yeah,
to Akron, but we just never gained our footing. More injuries, more bad starts to games that I just don't think we recovered from.
yeah. It became a mental thing for us because, again, to your point, the Akron game, first half, we played according to plan. Right, like the coach had an
Mm-hmm.
outline of how the game was going to go. We had more clear chance, even though they down in possession on the counter. We had clearer chances to score, but then they scored, and we just like I think we kind of knew that like they were better than us, but we could still beat them, right? And I think when they scored,
Mm-hmm.
we dropped our head, and then they just kept going, and they just kept going. And I remember, I think I came in
Yeah.
with like 15 minutes left, and that was like the longest 15 minutes of my life, bro. I was, I was like, when is this gonna end? Like it was so bad. And then we responded back the next game, winning Bonnie's by 4-0. Like the talent was there, but the mindset was not. Right? It was like we'd go up against something and we'd just like kind of put our heads down and give up. Whereas the first season, it was a complete opposite. I remember the first game of the season, we went down like 2-3-0. We came back to win
Mm-hmm.
4, right? And then we did like
Yeah.
a few of those games like that. We won 10 men against like what was it? Was it Rutgers or like there was so
Yeah. It
many.
was Troy. I think Troy Brady scored the winner in overtime that game.
Exactly. There were so many games where we had that belief that even if we went down a 1-0, 2-0, we'd come back. The next season was a complete opposite where we'd concede first and you're like, okay, well, that's it. The game is done. And we'd just give up. At this level, like at the D1 level, you can't really do that. Or you're not going to win that many games. And it's unfortunate because the talent was there and we always just wonder what could have been.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Literally went from projected first. I think we finished ninth, and we were out of playoffs pretty early that year too. So it was like, even when that point hit, we still had like 4 or 5 games left that we knew we weren't making playoffs. And, then people are starting to rest their injuries even more then. And, just made it even harder because you wanted to finish off on a strong note. But, everything about that season just turned out to be a disaster, unfortunately.
That's a tough one, pause. And the program after that, I think, just went downhill. Like, I think they got a new coach and
Yeah.
things started turning up. But after that season, I think things just started going. Like, people started turning each other and coaching. I think after
Mm-hmm.
that, things just started going downhill for the
Yeah.
program.
The winning mentality was gone that we built up. So we had that for a few years. And, like I said, we knew we were going to go into games and probably win. And we showed it for 2 years. And then, just lost it with that last disappointing year. And unfortunately, it looks like they haven't recovered since. Looks like they're on the mend now, though. I've been watching some games. So um, definitely cool seeing their new style of play. But, hopefully they can get back to that winning mentality and winning ways because it was a fun team to watch when we were doing well.
Exactly, exactly. So after college soccer, you play professional and semi-professional soccer with stints at FC Buffalo, Flower City Union, amongst other teams. Talk to us about your experience at the professional level and how that compared to the D1 level.
Yeah, so at least starting with the semi-pro level, it was definitely like I think a step up in the sense that you're surrounded by people that really want to be there all the time. Um, People are taking time out of their summer to do this 5 6 days a week. So definitely the mentality just around being at FC Buffalo every summer, is pretty amazing. At the college level, you have your core group of players. A lot of players do truly want to be there, but there's also players that are just kind of there. Um, so when you go to that next level at FC Buffalo, everyone truly wants to be there. Everyone's putting their whole summer forth to do something like this, and everyone's trying to get the most out of it. So just from an experience of that, it's been truly remarkable. Being able to do this for 7 years, and then my short stint playing with Flower City Union at the pro level. I was only there for like 6 weeks, but just seeing the level there, it's like you played FC Buffalo for so long. you see the commitment level there, and then you make this jump. You're playing with players that played on their national team, players that have played pro for many years and are still playing. Just a day in and day out of being around that, you can never take a second off. Someone's pushing you, someone's motivating you. Everyone around you is better than you. So it just motivates you, to keep going and get better.
Absolutely. And I think you guys won the national championship, the NISA national championship that season, right?
No, the year after. I wasn't on the team for that. I was on the team 2 seasons ago. But yeah, that talk about a turnaround too. And the year I was on the team, we finished last in NISA, and then the following year they did a whole 360 and won the national championship. So very big kudos to the team for turning it around in 1 year that big. The club's only 3 years old now, but to win a national championship in your second year is incredible.
Yeah. Speaking of turnarounds, you guys at FC Buffalo had a similar experience, right? You guys are now in the USL League Two, right? The first season too well, and this second season is going a lot better. Talk to us about your experience in this new league.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot different than our old league, the NPSL. Just from like a personal standpoint and even a team standpoint. I was a starter for many years at FC Buffalo, and now I've taken a role as a reserve goalkeeper. Um, so just from a personal level, we've been able to bring in better goalkeepers now that we're in this new league. So my kind of role has changed to kind of be that supportive goalkeeper that's ready to go, do what I can for the starting keeper and the backup. And then from a team perspective, the competition in our league is a lot better than what it was in the NPSL. Last year, we had a rough start. We finished last place, unfortunately. We're eliminated 3 or 4 weeks left in the season. But right now, we're heading into the final week of our season, 1 point out of second place, and very much possible that we can make playoffs this year. Top two make playoffs. To the change around in the club just from 1 year over the next, Coach Sean Hallis has just done an incredible job turning us around. Giving us a very concrete structure around the team of what he expects, style of play. Um, you know, I knew we were going to have a better year than last year, but it's just been awesome to see us literally fighting at the top or grabbing points from Fort Wayne, who are the top team in our conference last year and this year so far, and one of the best teams in the country. So, we're really competing with them all right now, and it's been awesome to see for the club.
And that's awesome, man. And hopefully things just continue to progress. And in a couple of years, FC Buffalo is one of the top teams across the country. Um, as you mentioned earlier, right, you're owner of Mar Athletics, right? So on top of playing professional soccer, you also have a goalkeeping company that you run. You also have a corporate job, right?
Yep.
Manage. First of all, talk to us about Mar Athletics, what it entails, and then how do you manage to successfully balance all three of these full-time jobs?
Yeah, so Malware Athletics, it's a company that was founded in 2017. One of my friends founded it, and I jumped on board as a part owner a few months later. But yeah, our goal in starting it was to provide professional level goalkeeper gloves at an affordable price. I don't know if you've seen the price of goalkeeper gloves now, but they're approaching $200, and we can make very similar gloves with the same quality, and we sell them for around $70 to $80. So we're trying to provide a more affordable option for goalkeepers across the country and across the world. We're getting a little bit more global now. But yeah, it's been a fun journey with the goalkeeper glove company. We have several pros throughout a couple leagues in America wearing our gloves. We're all over the college game, high school game. We're in a bunch of the youth leagues around the northeastern part of the country. So it's been fun seeing the growth of the company, and especially playing in my men's leagues too, the BDSL here in Buffalo. Almost every weekend when I go to one of my games or go to one of the soccer complexes, there's multiple people wearing their gloves. So, I've been very appreciative of all the support of everyone locally in the company. Um, and like you said, outside of that too, I have a corporate job at Rich Products. Um, Balancing the company, my corporate job, and soccer is definitely a bit of a challenge at times. These 3 months of the year, by far my most hectic. Um, you know, go from work every day, 8 to 5. We have practice most days right after around 5:30 or 6 for almost 2 hours. And then, usually at night it's tying up any emails I need to get to for my corporate job or Mauer, getting on phone calls for Mauer way at night. Not getting a lot of sleep these 3 months, but it's very much worth it right now. I have a lot of energy while I'm young, so keeps me motivated, keeps me at it, and I enjoy every minute of it.
That's impressive, man. Those are all full time jobs individually, and you're successfully balancing all three of them. So kudos to you there. And I guess beyond just that, right, I had Nuke on the pod on the last episode actually, and he talked about you guys being their only sponsor. Talk to us about that sponsorship and why you're supporting this nonprofit organization.
Yeah, what he's doing for those kids in the school and in Liberia that he founded is just incredible. I remember one day he approached me and just, are you guys able to help give us some gloves? Uh, so I was seeing pictures, and some of these kids are literally playing barefoot, and they're using soccer balls that don't look like soccer balls, and they're not playing with any gloves. And I was blown away by it. And what was crazy seeing all the pictures is they're all so happy just with that, and it's kind of mind blowing. I remember seeing that picture because it was right around the time I remember one of our practices got moved to this grass field around here, and the 18 was all dirt and the ball was bouncing everywhere. And I remember getting mad, like I remember gave up a goal because the ball bounced over and hit one of the rocks. And then I saw that picture. I'm like, I can't complain. I see these kids and they're happier they can be playing on almost nothing, and they have nothing. So when he asked me to if I could donate some gloves and help sponsor them, it was a no brainer. Seeing what he does just to support them and get them supplies and network for those kids, and seeing them succeed and seeing the updates on Instagram, it's just incredible. And I was honored to do it, and seeing our logo on one of the team's jerseys was really touched my heart, seeing that and seeing that we're trying to make a difference in a few people's lives, even if it's just donating a pair of gloves.
That's amazing, man. I mean, like what you and Nuga have been doing for those cases is incredible. And part of why I enjoy these conversations is hearing things like this and the amazing things that people are doing. Right? It just gives me energy, and I'm so happy to know you as a friend and awesome person, awesome guy. So kudos to you there.
Appreciate you, bro.
As we wrap up this podcast, uh, looking over your career, what would you say has been the highlight so far?
The highlight of my career was definitely signing for Flower City Union for, even though it was for 6 weeks. That was always my goal, just to get to the pro level in any capacity. And I remember I was actually not really expecting to get the text from Coach Colton Bly. I tried out for Flower City the year before. There's some talks about just coming in, being a reserve practice goalkeeper. Um, that didn't work out, but I remember after the FC Buffalo season, I think it was like the end of September, I remember I was getting ready to start a leg workout in the gym, and I get this text from a number that I don't have, from Coach Colton Bly, and he's like, we're running into a bit of a goalkeeper emergency situation right now. We got a game away in Chattanooga, Tennessee this weekend. We'd love to sign you for it. Can you get the practice tomorrow? Immediately, first thing I did was like, okay, I can't do a leg workout right now. Gotta go for body. I don't want to be sore for practice tomorrow. And I texted him back saying, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. And, from there, I didn't make an appearance, but I got on the bench for one of the games in Tennessee. But just being on the team for almost that 6 weeks and playing at the pro level was just a dream come true. And, something I'll never forget.
That's amazing, man. You deserve that. On the flip side, what would you say has been the low light?
I would honestly say it always comes back to probably the Akron game. Losing 10-0. It's one of those things that, it appears literally on my YouTube feed sometimes when I'm just watching soccer videos as a reminder. And just seeing how quickly too, like, it makes it worse too that they scored almost all 10 goals in one half in the second half. That's just something too. Never given up that many goals in one game, especially after the start we had after. It was a tough pill to swallow for a while. And, just winning the starting job a few weeks before, and then that happens. We made some national news that week, I remember, for that loss. So definitely a low life was that game.
Yeah, I can imagine it was a tough one for myself and for the team as a whole as well. Last question for you. You've dropped some gems, throughout this conversation, but any departing thoughts or advice for young soccer players out there that want to maximize their potential and get to the highest level possible for them?
Yeah, it's always be true and realistic to yourself. Know where you stand. Ask close friends where you think you stand on a team or what you need to improve on. Because if they're your true friends, they're going to tell you what you need to work on and get better at. And I know a lot of high school age kids, listen to the show and are trying to get to that next level. Biggest thing I could say too is don't focus just on the division of college that you want to get to. Make sure you're going to some place that has what you want to study, some place that you're going to feel comfortable at for 4 years, maybe five, a city that you want to be in. Because if you're just focusing on going, D1 or bust, it could turn out very bad. I only played, I think it was 90 minutes my first 4 years. From a lot of people's standpoints, that could be considered a failure. Um, when I could have went to many Division II schools on close to full rides and played probably every minute over 4 years. So make sure you know what you want out of college, what you want to get out of it. If you're okay sitting the bench and trying to climb the ladder up to starting, and see if you're okay with it for a few years, if you're up for that type of challenge. But, don't focus solely on the level. Be true to yourself and what you need to work on and go out and work on those things because you can truly go to the top level if you're realistic with yourself and you work hard. And, I hope my story truly proves that. A backup goalkeeper for almost 4 years and probably one of the shortest pro careers ever, but, did get to that level. So if I can do it, truly anyone can.
Fantastic, bro. And it's funny. Nuke literally said the same thing the other day. He was like the exact same thing you said about choosing what's best for you, right, and not chasing the clout of D1, right? I think especially with social media
Mm-hmm.
nowadays, people will rather say they went D1 and not really enjoy the school, not really enjoy the program, but just to be able to say they went D1 when they could have gone D2, D3, had an amazing career, leave a legacy there, be truly happy, maybe go beyond, right, playing at those levels.
Mm-hmm.
So I think at the end of the day, it comes down to knowing yourself, knowing your abilities, having that self awareness, and then making the best decision for you, and not caring so much about what other people think. So I really appreciate that advice.
Yeah.
Last segment of the pod for you. Right, this is my rapid fire segment where I ask my guests these similar type questions. For the first question, best player you ever played with?
Definitely have to go with Mo Kretschmer. Um, I remember when he was playing in front of me, like you give him the ball in any type of scenario, and I hardly ever remember him losing the ball. What he would do on the ball, distributing wise, getting open, passing was just incredible to see, and no one's ever topped that playing in front of me. And his career was a bit cut short with injuries our last years, but I wish you would have saw him early on because what he did for the team and the space he would open up, like he reminds me of Tony Cruz a lot of times, the way he plays with the ball, never
Yeah.
losing it. He'll do 5, 6 quick passes just to open some space up and we'll create something up the field. But yeah, Mo is definitely the best player I ever played with.
It makes a lot of sense. And the few times that I saw him play, the same reaction, right? And I think that's what Bayern Munich Academy will do for you.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, on the flip side, best player you've played against?
I would have to go with, I don't know if you know him. Do you know who Gideon Zalalem is?
No.
He was my age. He went off to play for Arsenal for a few years. I don't know where he's at now, but I played against him in his last game in America before he signed against Arsenal. We were playing in the Region 1 Premier League. I think we were U16 at the time. We lost 3-0 to his team. I think his team was called like the Only Rangers. He had all 3 goals. All 3 goals were just the simplest shots from 6, 8 yards out. He made everything look so easy. He was on the ball the whole game. I don't think he lost it. And then, a week later, we see the news that he left. I wish it was a week before he left because we might have had a chance against his team. But, he went and signed for Arsenal that next week. And I know he had a decent career for a few years. Don't know where he's at now, but definitely the guy that went the furthest that I played against.
Wow, at that level, it's crazy. Start one, bench one, and tell one. Allison, Ederson, Neuer.
Neuer is my favorite goalkeeper of all time. I literally will watch him for hours on YouTube of what he does with his ball at his feet, coming off his line, his save. So I'm starting him. Um, Benching, this one's tough for me. I'm going to bench Allison and sell Ederson. I think they're so close, Allison and Ederson. I really like Ederson with the ball at his feet, but Allison, I go, is a little bit better shot stopper. And on a team, you probably want that over the foot skills of Ederson.
100%. You're the keeper, you're the expert here, but I agree with that take. Maybe I would put Allison ahead of Neuer just because I'm biased as a Liverpool fan, but totally makes
Yeah, your
sense.
Liverpool flags back there. I can understand that one.
Last one for you, Messi or Ronaldo?
So before the World Cup, I was Ronaldo. I'm a big Manchester United fan. I started liking Manchester United in 2007, and back home in Pittsburgh, I actually have a big Ronaldo poster on my wall. I was all Ronaldo until 2022, and then unfortunately, kind of have to give it to Messi now, in my opinion, after winning the World Cup and how big of a role he actually played in that, in winning that. He did score a lot of penalties that World Cup, but you still got to score him. And what he did off the ball too, some of the passes leading up to some of the goals, especially in the final and the semifinals, was just incredible. And if he wasn't on that field, they wouldn't have won the World Cup. So I have to go with Messi now, as painful as that is, being a Ronaldo fan. And he's the one that got me as a Manchester United fan, almost 18 years ago.
Nah, I agree with you there. I think I grew up a Ronaldo fan. As I got older, I think part of me always just knew that Messi was slightly better, but I never wanted to admit to myself because of
No,
those.
and Ronaldo had those flashy goals too. So if you watch YouTube, you're seeing Ronaldo shoot. Yep.
Yeah, Ronaldo was younger at United, and when the first 3-4 years at Madrid, like he's changed his style now, right? Just like an out and out goal scorer now. He doesn't really involve himself with the build up and creating goals,
Mm-hmm.
but he used to do it all, right? And even when then, I don't know if I don't know. Then maybe it's a bit more comfortable, but even then, I think Messi just had him because Messi's I think all around dribbling, passing, scoring,
Mm-hmm.
being a team
Always
player. I
in the
think
right spot at the right time too. Always finds a way. Ball just sticks to his foot.
I'm still a Ronaldo fan, but I think if I put my money on somebody, I think I would put on Messi nowadays.
Yeah, the World Cup solidified it. I feel. You never know though. 2026 is right around the corner. So if Ronaldo wins it, I might have to change my answer. I think he'll last for one more.
I think he's gonna try to go for the World Cup, but I just don't know. Should he? I saw him in his Euros, and I can't put too much blame on him. He didn't get enough service, right? Like he got a few
Mm-hmm.
chances to put away. One in particular against France the other day, yesterday or 2 days ago. But outside of that, he relies on other people serving him the ball, and he hasn't gotten that many chances. So I don't want to be too critical of him. But it just seems like the team could be performing better with him not there. I don't know. They didn't create enough
Yeah,
chances.
there's too much focus around him too. Like, oh, he
Yeah,
needs to get the ball. There's some free kicks. I was like, why are you shooting this?
I know. Yeah, there was one where he was by the side of the 18, and he's shooting from there.
Yeah,
Like, come on, like you haven't scored one in
never
like 2
scoring that.
Like, come on. So part of me is like, would Portugal be better off not playing him? Again, it's tough to make that call because he's arguably the best goal scorer even at this age. Right? He just didn't get enough
Mm-hmm.
chances this year, and I think he has a lot of pressure on himself. So it's interesting to see how he does in 2026. Hopefully, I can see him in person then.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm hoping. Definitely on the bucket list. Seeing a game in 2026 when it's here. I feel like we can't pass that up.
nah, you got to start saving now.
Yeah, literally.
Uh, Bryce, really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule, right? Doing 3 different jobs. For those that want to follow your journey, where can they find you?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all at Bryce Tramuta, BryceTramuta. Love for you guys to follow me. I'll give you a follow back. And, if anyone ever needs anything too that's listening, feel free to shoot me a message. Always happy to help you.
Appreciate that, boss. Thanks again for the time, and it was great catching up.
Yeah, thanks for having me, dude. I really appreciate it. Love the podcast, love all the episodes, and, can't wait to keep listening in the future.
Thanks for taking the time out of your day to listen and support this podcast. It is very much appreciated. Please follow the show if you don't already do so. The show can be found on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and the rest of the other major platforms. As always, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. Much love. This show is produced by Yak Awok and original music by Scott Holmes.